are going to be reading the part when Grandma gets the medicine from George's Marvelous Medicine.
AKA the most interesting.
Yes. Do you think that she would explode or something?
Or do you think she'll be cured completely and become a nice grandma?
Yeah. I hope that happens. So her voice will change.
Her voice would be the same.
So are you ready?
No. I mean, yes.
Let's serve the medicine.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so excited to know what happens when Grandma gets the medicine. I know you are. So let's read. Grandma gets the medicine.
Ooh.
Grandma sat hunched in her chair by the window. The wicked little eyes followed George closely as he crossed the room towards her.
You're late.
She snapped. I don't think I am, Grandma,
Don't interrupt me in the middle of a sentence.
she shouted. But you finished your sentence, Grandma,
There you go again.
she cried.
Always interrupting and arguing. You really are tiresome, little boy. What's the time?
It's exactly 11 o'clock, Grandma.
Is it? Check the time.
No, never mind.
You're lying as usual. Stop talking so much and give me my medicine. Because I secretly like eating too much medicine. Shake the bottle first, then pour it into the silver spoon and make sure it's a whole spoonful.
Are you going to gulp it all down in one go? George asked her. Or will you sip it?
Now he just wants to know what she's going to do with his medicine. But he's making it a bit too obvious.
Yeah.
What I do is none of your business.
The old woman said,
Fill the silver spoon.
as George removed the cork and began very slowly to pour the thick brown stuff into the spoon. He couldn't help thinking back upon all the mad and marvelous things that had gone into the making of this crazy stuff. The shaving soap, the hair remover, the dandruff cure, the automatic washing machine powder, the flea powder for dogs, the shoe polish, the black pepper, the horseradish sauce. Horseradish sauce, and all the rest of them. Not to mention all the powerful animal pills and powders and liquid.
And the brown paint.
Open your mouth wide, Grandma, he said, and I'll pop it in. The old hag opened her small wrinkled mouth, showing disgusting pale brown teeth. Here we go, George cried out. Swallow it down. He pushed the spoon well into her mouth and tipped the mixture down her throat. Ooh. Then he stepped back to watch the result. It was worth watching. Ooh. Grandma yelled. And her whole body shot up whoosh into the air. It was exactly as though someone had pushed an electric wire through the underneath of a chair and switched on the current. Up she went like a jack-in-the-box. And she didn't come down. She stayed there, suspended in mid-air, about 2 feet up. Still in a sitting position.
But rigid now.
Oh my gosh, I can already imagine her sitting in it. Frozen, quivering, the eyes bulging, the hair standing right up on end. Is something wrong, Grandma? George asked her politely. Are you all right? Suspended up there in space. The old girl was beyond speaking. The shock that George's marvelous mixture had given her must have been tremendous. You'd have thought she'd swallowed a red-hot poker the way she took her from that chair.
But hotter. Like fire.
Look at her.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine this guy saying, owie, floating up from a chair. And he's acting innocent, like, what happened?
He very well knows.
Yes. Then down she came again with a plop. Back into her seat.
Call the fire brigade!
She sounds... It's just the medicine, Grandma, George said. It's good, strong stuff. The old woman yelled.
Fire in my tummy, I'm in the basement. Get a bucket, man the hoses, do something quick.
Cool it, Grandma, George said. He got a bit of a shock when he saw the smoke coming out of her mouth and out of her nostrils. Clouds of black smoke were coming out of her nose and blowing around the room. By golly, you really are on fire, George said.
Of course I'm on fire.
She yelled.
I'll be burnt to a crisp. I'll be fried to a frizzle. I'll be boiled like a beetroot.
Oh my gosh.
She's gone insane.
Yes, exactly what I was going to say. George ran into the kitchen and came back with a jug of water. Open your mouth, Grandma, he cried. He could hardly see her for the smoke, but he managed to pour half a jug full down her throat. A sizzling sound, the kind you get if you hold a hot frying pan under a cold tap, came up from deep down in Grandma's stomach. The old hag bucked and sheed and snorted. Must be because of the pig pills. She gasped and gurgled. Spouts of water came shooting out of her, and the smoke cleared away.
This is silly now.
Oh my gosh, what did he do to her? The fire's out, George announced proudly. You'll be all right now, Grandma.
All right?
She yelled.
Who's all right? There's Jackie Jumpers in my tummy. There's Squigglers in my belly. There's bangers in my bottom.
She began bouncing up and down in the chair. Quite obviously, she was not very comfortable. You'll find it's doing you a lot of good, that medicine, Grandma, George said.
Good!
She screamed.
Doing me good? It's killing me!
Then she began to bulge.
Bulge.
She was bulge. She was swelling. She was puffing up all over. Someone was pumping her up. That's how it looked. Was she going to explode? Her face was turning from purple to green.
Yeah, imagine this is purple. Purple heart for you guys.
From me.
From me.
From me.
Me. Both of you.
But wait! She had a puncture somewhere. George could hear the hiss of escaping air. She stopped swelling. She was going down. Oh, I thought she was passing gas. She was slowly getting thinner again, shrinking back slowly to her shrivelly old self. How's things, Grandma? George said. No answer. Then a funny thing happened.
Oink! That's a funny thing. I'm just kidding. Grandma.
I think her puncture is
Right here.
in her cheek.
No, here.
And here's the gas going all over the place. Grandma's body gave a sudden sharp twist and a sudden sharp jerk, and she flipped herself clear out of the chair and landed neatly on her 2 feet on the carpet. That's terrific, Grandma! George cried. "You haven't stood up like that for years. Look at you. You're standing up all on your own and you're not even using a stick."
It's because she is the stick.
Grandma didn't even hear him. The frozen pop-eyed look was back with her again now. She was miles away in another world. Marvelous medicine, George told himself. He found it fascinating to stand there watching what it was doing to the old hag. What next? He wondered. He soon found out. Oh, that's her paralyzed look on her face. Suddenly she began to grow. What happened to her? Don't grow up, grow down. It was quite slow at first. Just a very gradual inching upwards. Up, 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 inch by inch. Getting taller and taller. About an inch every few seconds. And in the beginning, George didn't notice it. But when she had passed the 5'6" mark and was
That's taller than me.
going on up towards being 6 feet tall, George gave a jump and shouted, "Hey, Grandma, you're growing!
You didn't notice?
You're going up! Hang on, Grandma, you'd better stop now or you'll be hitting the ceiling." See, even he knows. Don't grow up, grow down.
But Grandma didn't stop.
It was a truly fantastic sight. Fantastic, Mr. Fox. Please view. This ancient, scrawny old woman was getting taller and taller. Longer and longer.
Thinner.
Sorry, my tooth.
Thinner.
Thinner and thinner. Thinner and thinner.
Oh.
As though she were a piece of elastic being pulled upwards by invisible hands. When the top of her head actually touched the ceiling, George thought she was bound to stop.
Hey, those invisible hands pulling her upward should let go. You know what I mean?
I'm pulling her upwards. See, he's so surprised that from this small chair she would fit just perfectly.
No, that was a chair though.
Then look at her head. And she's still in her own world. But she didn't. There was a sort of scrunching noise. And bits of plaster and cement came raining down. "Hadn't you better stop now, Grandma?" George said. Daddy's just had this whole room repainted. But there was no stopping her now.
Oh yeah, much taller than Zubin now. I'll go even taller.
Soon her head and shoulders had completely disappeared through the ceiling and she was still going.
Yeah, I'm still going. You better dash and run upstairs.
George dashed upstairs to his own bedroom. And there she was coming up through the floor like a mushroom.
Whoopee!
She shouted,
Oh yeah, here I
finding her voice at last. Her head.
Like a mushroom. Or like a butterfly. Okay, I'm
He should remind
like a
her.
butterfly.
What happened to don't grow up, always
Go down.
Steady on, Grandma, George said.
With a high 90 now and up we go.
She shouted.
Just watch me go.
Watch her.
I'm a poet now.
This is my room, George said. Look at the mess you're making.
Terrific medicine.
She cried.
Give me some more.
She's dotty as a donut, George thought.
Come on, boy. Give me some more. Dish it out. I'm slowing down.
George was still clutching the medicine bottle in one hand and the spoon in the other. Oh, well, he thought. Why not? He poured out a second dose and popped it into her mouth. She screamed, and up she went again. Her feet were still on the floor downstairs in the living room, but her head was moving quickly towards the ceiling out of the bedroom.
I'm on my way now, boy.
She called down to George.
Just watch me go.
That's the attic above you, Grandma, George called out. I'd keep out of there. It's full of bugs and boggles. The old girl's head went through the ceiling as though it were
Smooth like butter.
butter. George stood in his bedroom, gazing at the shambles. There was a big hole in the floor and another in the ceiling. And sticking up like a post between the two was the middle part of Grandma. Her legs were in the room below, her head in the attic.
I'm still going.
Came the old screechy voice from up above.
Give me another dose, my boy, and let's go through the roof.
No, Grandma, no! George called back. You're busting up the whole house. To silly with the house.
With the house.
She shouted.
I want some fresh air. I haven't been outside for 20 years.
Oh my God. See, this is George's nice, neat bedroom.
A middle part.
But then she had to ruin it. See, the lamps are shaking. He has this See, this is so small. This is a small bottle, and it costs
You
this.
know, if this was me, I'd move my hands around wondering what I can grab.
Like the medicine. By God, she is going through the roof, George told himself. He ran downstairs. He rushed out of the back door into the yard. It would be simply awful. He thought if she burst up the roof as well, his father would be furious.
What's that supposed to be?
Man. And George, would get the blame. He had made the medicine.
But does anyone else know that though?
He had given her too much.
That's true.
Don't come through the roof, Grandma, he prayed. Please don't. Chickens.
Yeah, this is a clue for the next chapter. It's called The Brown Hen or something.
So did you like this episode?
I did.
I did too. It was so crazy kaboom. So we are going to be reading the next chapter in the next episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the notification button. And we'll see you in the next episode. Bye!
Wait a second. This has yellow, right? See that? It's yellow. But then here, it's orange.
Woo-hoo-hoo! That was funny.